Welcome back to New Jersey Power & Politics. I'm Jim McQueenie. Well, pick your metaphor for New Jersey mayors following that recent convention down there in Atlantic City. No Thanksgiving leftovers, no tools left in the toolbox. However you slice this pie, it's getting harder and harder to meet the needs of constituents financially with property taxes and the like. That's what Elizabeth Mayor Chris Bollwage is here to talk about. Thanks for joining us, Mayor. A lot of the discussion down in Atlantic City at the League Convention, really, a lot of it off to the side was how mayors are absolutely frustrated with the ability to meet this 2% cap. And even if they do make it, the exemptions squish out the sides and cause even more money things they have to address. And there's no federal or state money really coming, perhaps in the way it used to come, drizzled through each other, dripping through each other. And they were as dark as could be about the prospects of keeping property taxes down. And you were a mayor, one of the very few in New Jersey, who actually voted against the 2% cap, saying this is an unworkable situation the way the cap is structured right now.
I testified against the 2% cap. I did press releases against it. I spoke out vociferously against the 2% cap. It's bad public policy because the 2%. But the public does like it, though, Mayor, because they say at least something's being done to cap this thing. It's sort of like an oil well of gushing property taxes. You know, like the BP thing. They go down there and they cap that thing, and they cap it, and it seems good. 2%. Well, we're not raising property taxes next year in the city of Elizabeth, and the 2% property tax. The reason I say it's bad public policy is the governor sold this that your property taxes are only going to go up 2%. That's the misnomer. The 2% is only on the tax levy. The city of Elizabeth's budget is about $210 million. $110 million is what we take in from the taxpayers. So that 2% is on that $110 million. We still have $100 million worth of grants out there, worth of other funding, fines, fees, you name it, that fund other parts of the budget. That is not capped. So whether we have to go buy gas or we buy electricity or we have a major storm, even though the emergencies and storms, if declared, are outside the cap, but that still has to be raised through the property taxes. It's not capping your property taxes. So the way it's been sold to the people of New Jersey, of course you're going to buy into what the governor said, because he sold it brilliantly so that it was a 2% increase on your property taxes, which is not the way the law reads, nor does it function that way.
Well, that's actually very similar to the successful branding of the millionaire's tax by Jim McGreevey, when in fact they started taxing it like half that price along the way, but made everybody feel better. They were taxing the millionaires, right? When they weren't. They were actually taxing that additional levy at a lot lower income than you thought.
And you still got the millionaire's tax kicking around now, where you both have it on the federal level and a state level, and we should tax people who make more than $1 million. And how much do you tax them, and what percentage over the $1 million? I don't know where that goes, but I think it's important public policy. Those folks made a lot of money based off of government policies, and now that the government needs help, they should be helping out as well. They shouldn't be the only people not solving this debt problem.
You opposed the cap last time because you felt it was unworkable. Let me ask you something. As a mayor here, now it's an urban mayor, Elizabeth City, don't know if it would apply for anything suburban here around the state, and it's mostly suburban. What would you suggest or say to the governor, and he challenged Democrats like you, he said, if it's not this 2% cap, what is it then? And they didn't seem to come up with answers in the last round.
Well, nobody talked to mayors either. Mayors never had an opportunity to meet with the governor to discuss this. I mean, there was a dog and pony show at Drumthwacket one day, but there was no Q&A or no availability to get involved. Grants is one way that you can attract additional resources to your community, but grants are outside the cap. So if you have a 25% or a 50% match on your grant, whether it be the COPS grant that the federal government did or whatever, and it's a 2% cap, it may not fit into your budget, and therefore you may not be able to apply for the budget. The pension costs, the health care costs, the way it was structured clearly help municipal budgets, but all they've done is add more money to the healthcare system rather than cut back on healthcare costs.
So you say, hey, let's get that millionaire's tax.
The millionaire's tax is definitely something that's workable. It should be done. The millionaire's tax and people that make more than $1 million, urban enterprise zone revenue creates jobs in urban communities, and the urban enterprise zone was taken away.
Okay, so the urban enterprise zone, that was canceled.
That was canceled. I mean, and there was a $50 million line item in last year's budget to hire more cops, similar to what the federal government did on a cops program. The governor line itemed that veto out. The city of Elizabeth would have got $2.4 million. We could have hired next to 20 to 25 police officers with a matching fund, but even then, under the 2% cap, that might have caused difficulty.
Okay, Mayor Chris Bollwage of Elizabeth, who predicted when this cap was going on that a cap was going to work, and that's what we heard in Atlantic City from the other mayors. All right.